Welcome to the Gentleman's Tribe Show, where Brotherhood meets bold truth and we strip off the masks to speak into real challenges men face in business, in fatherhood, in faith, and in the fire of daily life. This isn't a podcast for surface talk. This is a sacred space for men building something real on the outside and from within. Whether you're leading in the boardroom, showing up at home, or standing at the edge between breaking and becoming, this tribe is for you. Welcome back to the Gentleman's Tribe Show, where Brotherhood meets reality, where we talk about all things that men face. We pull off that mask, we speak our truth, whether it's business, spirituality, being a father, being a husband, and walking that fire that we all have to do as men. This is a place where it gets real. I'm your host, Bryan Docobo, and we are super excited with a wonderful topic today. We have a bunch of brothers from the Founders Chapter Tribe, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ian Miller. And I think that last time we got together, I think we might have skipped over an important part. We like to provide the opportunity for our brothers to discuss a little bit about themselves and what they do. And Ian, tell us a little bit about yourself to our fans out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryan. So I'm Ian Miller. I'm the founder of my law firm, Miller Trial Law. We focus our practice predominantly on personal injury, which means we help people who've been in car accidents, slip and falls, and things of that nature.
Very good. Awesome. And as you can see, Pedro looks much different today. Just kidding. Pedro couldn't make it today. All right. But we have a wonderful fill-in co-host, which is Mr. David Strauss. David, say hello to everybody.
Thank you, Bryan. Hi, everyone. I'm David Strauss. I'm honored to be standing in for Pedro Ramos. He's sorry he couldn't be with us today. And I will try to bring wisdom on his level if it's possible. I will do my best.
That's awesome. Well, Tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Thanks, Bryan. I'm a litigation attorney in Fort Lauderdale. I handle disputes in real estate and business, and I'm also certified to serve as a mediator for circuit court cases.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
You know, and this is the beautiful thing about the tribe. It provides a space where men from different areas of life, their own unique ability and contribution to the general whole, is brought here within this framework. And this, of course, manifested into a show. But I tell you, let's take a little bit back to our roots. Let's talk a little bit about the tribe. So we're going to start a segment at the beginning of each episode. It's going to be for the good of the tribe. Ian, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we got going on with the tribe?
Yeah, lots of updates. So we've launched a few chapters, and we got a few other additional areas where we're forming. Things are going wonderful. We have a Boca chapter. We have the Founders and Broward chapter, and a second Broward chapter now is built out, and we're actually getting an additional one out in Pembroke Pines area. The Boca chapter was so successful with its launch and the additional people that have been there, we've decided to actually expand it. It looks like we're going to have two in Boca pretty soon. In addition, in Miami, we've grown out, and in Doral, we're having our first meeting next week. Looking forward to what's growing.
Well, that is just absolutely incredible. And it sounds like this is growing just so rapidly. Why do you think that is?
You know, men don't realize that there's a need for this. They don't realize it until they're there. When they come to a meeting, they say, I didn't realize I needed this in my life. I didn't even know it existed, but wow, this is something that I really need. I need a place where I can go and talk with men about real issues, offload some things that are bothering me, and look to level up. That's what it's all about.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And it is a wonderful space. And I tell you what, in these meetings, we subscribe to certain principles, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
So tribe is actually an acronym, and that's where it comes from. That's what the basis of everything we're doing is. So T is for trust, a safe, confidential space to speak truthfully, get vulnerable, and heal deeply. R is for responsibility. It's conscious ownership of your life, your health, wealth, and relationships. I is for integrity. It's intentional alignment with your words, your values, and your actions. B is for brotherhood, a collective of high-caliber men committed to support, growth, and accountability. And E is for evolution, lifelong commitment to growth in mind, body, business, and spirit. It's our foundation.
It's a wonderful framework. And it's one that, I'm a believer. I love it. I've seen what it has done for my life. And for those that are not familiar with my story, I've been very open about it. I'm walking a fire with family. I've had 2 children with a life-shortening rare disease. Unfortunately, Ethan passed away a year ago. And what this particular group and this tribe has brought to me was that additional muscle mass, that additional strength emotionally, to walk the fire, and I was lifted up in the harshest of circumstances, and I still am held up continuously as we still walk forward to try to do something and save my oldest child's life that's 8 years old. So obviously this is deeply impactful to me. Once I discovered the beauty of this and the magic that's contained in those meetings, Ian and I came together with various brothers that came to us and said, we cannot keep this magic to ourselves. So to see the rapid expansion and the other men that are just coming to us, it's wonderful to see. And one of those men that came to us throughout this process was Mr. David Strauss. Dave, tell us a little bit about what the tribe has meant to you.
Thanks a lot, Bryan. And I really want to thank you for sharing the magic with me, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And like Ian was saying, I didn't know I needed this. And when you invited me, I came because you invited me. I didn't come because I wanted a men's support group or anything like that. I had no idea what it really was. I kind of thought it was a networking group, to be honest. And it turns out it's obviously not a networking group. And I first visited, I think it was last November. And by my second meeting, I found myself doing, not even purposely, just very meaningful self-reflection. I was looking inside in a very constructive way. And I have an amazing marriage, but I realized I have shortcomings and I could be a better husband. And it was the tribe that helped me realize that. And I've done a lot at home to step up in the kitchen and, well, with everything. And in surprising my wife more often and taking her places and making plans. And that's been amazing. And it's also great, like you were saying, about having this group around you, to have all these men who you admire, respect, and trust, who you can talk to, because at home, you're the rock. Everyone looks to you for strength and stability. So I don't want to come home and to my wife that I'm worried about finances, for example, or my kids either, for that matter. But if I have a group of men I can talk to about anything, it's great to have that outlet, because we all at home don't really feel free to show weakness to those around us. We don't want them to feel insecure.
That is beautiful. And not only, I love hearing about these success stories, these micro successes, which is macro and when it comes to each man. And not only we're hearing about the wonderful relationships you've had, you also look different. Now, I remember in a meeting, okay, we were talking about health, and we're talking about physical health, and you set a certain goal. And I just, not to catch you by surprise, but you look great. You said,
you.
I have a goal of having 100 pounds of pure muscle on my frame. How's that going? Did you meet it yet, or where are you at?
I'm really sorry to tell you, I'm not at 100 pounds of muscle mass.
Okay.
I'm at 102 pounds of muscle mass.
Oh!
As my accountability partner, Jay Cunningham, can tell you, my goal was to get to at least 100 pounds. But now that I'm over 100 pounds of skeletal muscle mass,
Right.
now I have a new goal, because I've seen I could attain more. And I'm going to put on 3 more pounds of muscle, and I will be half muscle and half everything else at 210 pounds. And I'm excited about that, because when I looked at myself in the mirror, I said, oh, I look fine. I got on the scale for the first time in a few months. I put on 15 pounds of fat, little by little, without realizing it.
It's like a slow air leak.
Oh my God. So that's what put me on an aggressive track to, my first instinct was, I need to lose weight. That's not what I needed at all. The best thing for me to think was, I need to lose fat. And the best way to lose fat, from my experience, is to gain muscle.
I tell you what, let's hold that thought for the next segment, because we're going to do a deeper dive today into men's physical health. We have a couple of wonderful guests here today that are world of knowledge, and it's that tribal instinct, tribal knowledge that's being brought here to the whole. But I tell you, before we break for commercial, and we introduce those guests, just kind of a question right here among us three, okay? We're running hard in life, okay? We have businesses, we have families, we have kids. We're trying to level up and show up. Not just ourselves, but what do you think are some major issues or common issues that we're seeing with men's physical health and challenges that men of our age tend to go through and need to conquer?
That's right to speak. I think the biggest challenge most men in my phase of life have is finding the time to do anything other than work and relax.
Yep.
And one thing I found as a great hack for that is EMS technology, something that Jay Cunningham is very familiar with as well. I've been doing it for a few years now, and I came out of COVID, and I was I wasn't looking that good. And I said, I got to get back to 190. That was my happy weight. And I got back to 190 just through dieting.
Gotcha.
And I looked in the mirror and I looked terrible. And I said, oh man, I lost muscle. Because in lockdown, I wasn't fishing. I wasn't going to the beach and lugging around the net with the lead weights. I lost a lot of muscle. And that's when I started doing the EMS technology. In about 4 months, I put on 10 pounds of muscle. That was almost 4 years ago. And I've just been maintaining the whole time since then.
That's pretty great. So it sounds like one major issue that we have is maintaining muscle mass and putting on more muscle mass.
And finding time to work out.
And finding time to work out. And we're going to get in a little bit of the, in the next segment, but that's a great takeaway. Ian, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think that's a large part of it. You know, we're all busy. We have day jobs, we have families, we have things to do. Making sure you carve out that time to go to the gym, to eat the right things, to do the things you need. It is a challenge, but it's something that we hold ourselves accountable to. And we have people making sure within the tribe that we're doing what we need to achieve our goals. It's not just about setting goals. That's half the equation. Having a protocol in place to achieve them is what really matters.
Yes. And matter of fact, Dave, I think you were talking a little bit about your accountability partner. How did that help you in your endeavor to put on that 100 pounds?
It definitely helped because we've been checking in with each other regularly. And I definitely feel like it's not just me I'm doing this for. I can't just cheat myself here because I'm going to have to, I don't know, lie to Jay, my accountability partner? Of course not. So that definitely makes you, even if you don't realize it, it makes you feel more accountable when you have a partner who you're checking in with on a regular basis.
Excellent.
Great. Can I make a quick comment?
Real quick.
I read this somewhere and I really liked it. Everyone should meditate for an hour a day. Unless you don't have time, then you should meditate for 2 hours a day.
The sage
Just
of wisdom.
carve that out right here.
I love it. So I'm here. Keep muscle mass on. I think I heard pieces about nutrition. All right. About maintaining that healthy life. We're going to get to some of the other modalities, things of that nature. Now, me personally, so one challenge I had is I have lower back pain. Okay. And matter of fact, I used to play football in high school, and then I got into a bad car accident. And later on, I've come to learn that I actually had one of my vertebrae just like explode, and I'm actually an inch shorter than I was before. Now, we haven't met in person, a lot of guys. Let me tell you something. I'm only 5'10".
Yeah, right.
Anyhow, all right.
With what heels?
All right. But when you're with limited height and you lose an inch, there was a grieving process with that, which I'm sure we'll share with another time. But anyhow, you got to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit too. But that's why I'm pretty excited about the guests that we're going to have on the other side of this commercial break. Are we good for commercial now, guys? All right. I tell you what, on the other side of this commercial break, we have two outstanding brothers that you're going to have a chance to meet, and one of which is a chiropractor. So maybe you give me a little bit of tips about how to keep my back okay going forward and avoid some of that pain. We're going to check in with you right after this break.
The law office of Bryan Docobo, PA, is a Florida-based legal firm that partners with individuals, investors, and business owners to help them navigate real estate deals, business transactions, and the sale or acquisition of high-value assets like yachts and aircraft. We offer strategic legal support at every stage, whether you're closing on a property, negotiating a merger, or scaling your company. For growing businesses, we also provide fractional general counsel services, giving you executive-level legal guidance without the cost of a full-time in-house attorney. Through our title and closing division, Esquire Closings, we handle real estate transactions across Florida, delivering a smooth, attorney-led experience from contract to close. We're here to make your big moves feel simple, secure, and smart.
At Miller Trial Law, we're more than just a personal injury law firm. We're your advocates during one of the most difficult times in your life. Whether you've been injured in a car accident, a slip and fall, at work, or due to medical malpractice, we're here to stand by your side. We handle the insurance claims and legal process so you can focus on healing. From coordinating your medical care to fighting for the compensation you deserve, we're with you every step of the way. Because your recovery is personal to us. If you've been injured, contact us at 833-MT-LAW for you.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories, struggles, and awakenings that shape us, side by side with men who refuse to settle, who are willing to feel, to lead, and to rise.
And we are back on the Gentleman's Tribe Show. It's time to introduce our guests. And before I introduce our guests, we're going to talk a little bit about the topic for today. We dabbled a little bit in men's physical health. It's multifaceted. We have different structures to ourselves, whether it's the micros, the macros, meditation even, the exercises, stretching that we could do. And we're going to have a wonderful conversation about this. Now, the first guest that I'm going to introduce is by design. This particular brother, and again, it's the individual knowledge to the good of the whole, has educated me and opened my eyes to things that were just, I had no clue about. He introduced me to the evolving science behind peptides. He's involved me to certain types of methylation tests, things that are being more commonly discussed. It's almost as if we're in a revolutionary period where these health opportunities that have been dormant for many years is now coming to the fore. But I do want to introduce him as a brother's name is Mr. Jay Cunningham. Say hello.
Thank you, Brian. Jay Cunningham. I'm a general contractor. I've been in that field for 30 plus years. Came to holistic health out of necessity. You know, I was sick 3-4 times a year and had to find a way not to be sick. And I started down my holistic pipeline at that point, and I've delved into it 100%. So yeah, as far as peptides, there's EMS, like David was saying, for my workouts. I use a full EMS suit. I use it at home. It puts no pressure on my joints, because in construction, we pretty much beat ourselves up. You know, we hurt ourselves quite a bit. And I've had to find holistic ways to not be in the medical facility all the time. Definitely been a journey for me.
You know what, I tell you what, and it's I can imagine in that field, because you know, you're not just a contractor, you have a crew of guys operating underneath you, have wonderful systems, a wonderful business. I've personally done business with Jay, and I've been completely impressed. But also the being outside all the time, it does a number on your skin. And I'll tell you this, one of the first conversations Jay had about this, and don't take offense to this, because I know I'm still ugly, but you was ugly. And I think it was because he was probably outside a lot. But let me tell you something. Jay is a vampire, and he is aging in reverse, and all these wonderful things that he's going to speak a little bit to us today. He brought to my attention. It's increased my health, and Jay, I love you, buddy, and you are a world of knowledge, and I'm so happy that you're here on today's podcast. Now, I'm going to introduce you know what? I am not going to introduce the second guest. I think that there's someone here even more qualified than myself to introduce this man of the tribe, and he's the one that brought him to the tribe. So I'm introduce our next guest.
So I'm really excited to introduce our next guest. Dr. Adam Friedman is someone who I have gotten to know through work. Being a lawyer who handles car accident cases all the time, my clients are in need of medical care. They need to recover. They need to get over the injuries they have, especially the spinal injuries. And I've had clients who have treated with Dr. Adam Friedman. They've had tremendous results. They're telling me how great his office staff is to work with, how much better they feel after working with him. And so I've gotten to know him a little, and I said, you know what? We'd really love to have you. You have a tremendous amount of knowledge. You really care about your patients. We want you here at the tribe. Would you come to a meeting? And he graciously said yes, and we're profoundly grateful to have his wealth of knowledge here. So Adam Friedman, tell us about yourself.
Thanks, Ian. I appreciate that very much. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate you guys. Dr. Adam Friedman. I own Care Wellness Center, which is a multidisciplined holistic wellness facility in Margate, right across from JM Lexus. Obviously, we have chiropractic services, acupuncture, physical therapy. We do vitamin injections. We do homeopathic pain injections. We have a weight loss program with our medical doctor who's on staff. So basically, it's a one-stop shop for anyone looking for a holistic alternative to standard allopathic medicine. And we have great success with most people that walk in the door. We deal a lot with fertility issues with our acupuncture clinic, so we're helping people get pregnant and things of that nature. So we're really proud of what we've built there, and look forward to speaking about chiropractic today a little bit.
And yes, and your practice has, it's an impressive practice. In full disclosure, I am also a client of Dr. Adam. as well as his partner, Dr. Rob, who provides acupuncture care. And let me tell you something, guys. If you haven't got acupuncture out there, just give it a whirl. Even if you don't think you need it, just give it a whirl. And it is a wonderful modality that has opened up my mind about a lot of things and changed my life. But Adam, let's start at square one. All right,
Sure.
chiropractic care. What was the moment that lit the fire for you that said, you know what, this is it. This is my life path. Tell us a little bit about that.
I started going to chiropractors at a young age. Both me and my middle brother, we were both athletes. We played hockey primarily. We were getting injured all the time. Parents took us to chiropractors. Our chiropractor, I'm from Chicago, so our chiropractor was the chiropractor for the Bears at the time. So it's just a cool environment. We just, we felt great coming out of there. And then that evolved as I became an adult and I graduated from school. I moved back to Chicago and started working in corporate America. Stressful job, got recurrent neck and back pain from, sitting at a computer screen all day. Went back to the chiropractor in Chicago because I got away from it just for a brief period of time. I was like, man, I feel awesome again. So 2 weeks later, I quit my job, moved from Chicago to Davenport, Iowa, and spent the next 5 years in chiropractic school. And,
That's awesome.
that was that.
And, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. So much so that you guys don't know this out there, but, we're still putting the pieces together here. And we're like, what can we do for our set? It's a little plain right now, but, that's going to evolve. And they brought up these football helmets, and one of the helmets was a Packers helmet. And they put it right in front of Adam. And Adam's like, no way. And I was like, we couldn't have him walk. We can't leave our chiropractor on the show. So I'm like, all right, we took that away. We took away the football helmets just for you, buddy. We love you for that.
And it was signed by Brett Favre, too, which makes it, infinitely worse. But
Is it just because it's painful? Is it because it's painful?
I mean, it's pretty painful. They beat us up. I mean, they beat us up for 20 years, so,
I get it. I know the
Can't
great
do
from
anything about
Favre to Rodgers. And I'm not going to lie, as a kid growing up, I'll never forget, Favre slinging in that playoff game against Detroit across the field and running down with his hair flopping around.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm a Dolphins fan, but man, I kind of like this guy. But hey, I love Chicago as a town. It is a great city, man.
Yes.
So I'm not going to hate. We'll talk about Caleb Williams on the next
Sure.
podcast, all right? That's a more depressing podcast for everybody. I'm a Dolphins fan. I got no room to talk. Anyhow, all right. So I tell you what, when we come to chiropractic care, guys think about, hey, you just crack backs.
Right.
What do people get right and people get wrong about what you do?
The cracking back line is a stigma that, chiropractors face, on a daily basis. Hey, I have pain, I should go to a chiropractor, which is usually the introduction to chiropractic care for most people. In our office and the type of chiropractic that I practice is more lifestyle chiropractic. Yes. Can I help you with your neck and back pain? Absolutely. That's my bread and butter. We go through a very specific protocol to identify, the root causes of these problems, which is where, allopathic medicine fails. We're going to take x-rays, we're going to do a deep dive into your medical history, and we're going to find that root cause. And yes, when we adjust you, there are sounds that come out that are, all over social media and popping and cracking. And yes, that stuff feels great. But it's not just about pain relief. It's about allowing these people, because the people that walk in, they're in severe debilitating pain, and it is affecting daily life. So our job is to allow these people not only to get out of pain, but to live longer, stronger, happier lives. And that's what we do. That's our passion in our clinic. It doesn't say chiropractor outside. It says wellness center, and there's a reason for that. So,
do you have anything in your practice or any stretch or any technique that can help regain somebody get another inch of height back? You do?
Absolutely.
Oh, all right.
Ian gets it right now.
Is that why you're telling me?
Yeah.
Well, I was about to go buy some.
There might be some genetic component there, but
I was going to go to buy some boots, but if you're telling me to get that inch back, all right.
Yeah.
It's big deal for me.
Way to clarify, an inch where?
Everywhere. Anyhow, just kidding. Anyhow, PG. Anyhow, but hey, that's still PG, so that's funny as hell. All right. Anyhow, so
got the
anyhow,
comedy host day on.
we're gonna take a step back and open up to the group, right? Because in every man's journey, we come across these articles in Men's Health we come across other things, other types of philosophies about what to do to improve our health. And sometimes we dabble, sometimes we don't. So anybody here have a story about how they came across something that they've adapted to life that may or may not have worked for them?
Oh, I got something right away.
Oh, it's here, Jeff.
So, I mean, I used to sleep maybe 4 hours a night. Maybe.
Wow.
That'd be a good night for me. And I'd be up all night watching TV, just trying to find a way to fall asleep. And I started diving into how do I get better sleep? Like, how do I get that 6, 7 hours, let alone 8 hours? And I got what is a ring. And it takes care of all of that for me. It tells me what I need to do, how I need to do it, where I'm getting sleep, where I'm not getting sleep. And it gives me all the prompts to start working on. And I started listening to it. I started doing it. I'm getting 7 solid hours. I don't even wake up at night anymore.
That's great.
I'd be up 3, 4 times a night even when I was getting only 4 hours sleep. Not anymore.
What's interesting to me is that sleep is a huge component. And matter of fact, if Pedro was here, he would be talking about the 6 Harvard areas of pillars of health.
Yeah.
And one of them is sleep. It's a big component. It's getting your body to reset, to defrag, to clear out the toxins, the bad stuff throughout the night. It's super important. As men, we probably all made that mistake at a point in our life where we just got to grind it out, 5 hours of sleep, and you reach a point of diminishing returns. I noticed something with me. I just want to know if anybody has a take on this. Is anybody familiar with grounding sheets by any chance?
Oh, yeah.
There is? So anyhow, I bought a grounding sheet. I even have a thing to plug into the wall. And I've been doing this just for a week, okay? It has been a game changer. Does anybody, you had the experience too?
I have a grounding sheets. I also have a PMF mat.
Yeah, PMF
The
mat.
PEMF mat is, I lay on that thing for 20 minutes and you can't wake me up.
Gotcha.
I mean, that thing is incredible. The grounding sheets takes that and then you go onto the grounding sheets. And that's another part of the things that I was missing is grounding at night, sleeping while you're grounded. Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing for sleep.
I sleep so much better with that technique. Earlier techniques didn't work as well, like drinking a whole handle of scotch. But no, I'm kidding. I'm joking about
Very
that.
effective.
Very effective.
It's effective,
No.
but
No,
doesn't
no.
give you good sleep.
No, not at all. Gives you quite the morning as well. But I tell you what, so talking about the area of sleep. So Adam, you were able to dive into a little bit about the other areas that you're able to work with patients on. What are some of the most common patients that come to you? Maybe not necessarily for chiropractic care, but is there you talk about fertility, maybe some other issues, stress. You want to elaborate on any of those particular areas?
I mean, people would be surprised with what we see coming through our clinic, specifically with chiropractic. We see a lot of teenagers. We see people that are, infants all the way up to, senior citizens.
Infants, wow.
Absolutely. Infants, the whole birthing process is very traumatic on the baby's spine. So obviously there's different techniques for infants that are very gentle in nature that we can provide that, you see a lot of constipation issues in kids because, let's face it, standard American diet, especially in our young kids where their biomes are evolving, it can become a huge problem. And constipation, specifically in younger kids, is something that we see quite a bit, and we can help them with that. We're not necessarily treating that as chiropractors, but we can remove pressure, coming from the central nervous system, get them out of that, sympathetic overload and put them into a more restful state so they can, do their thing. We see a lot of people in our acupuncture clinic. We see a lot of fertility issues, couples struggling with fertility. That's another topic for another day when Dr. Rob comes on. He works exclusively with that. So those are some of the things that we see, aside from the neck, back pain, headaches, those things that go hand in hand with chiropractic.
Yeah, no, so
Tell us a little bit about the young people. So technology has become a thing. We're all addicted to these devices and going like this all day. And
Sure.
What effect are you seeing on that?
So, first of all, from a radiographic standpoint, if you were to take a picture of the neck from the side, you should see this, smooth, what's called lordotic curve in the neck. In everyone that I x-ray now, especially the kids, you're losing that curve. It's actually going in the wrong direction. And it's because, they're all focused down on technology. Or now, I don't know if you guys know this, but when I went to high school, we had lockers to place our stuff in a locker. They don't like have lockers anymore. So they're carrying these backpacks that are like 80 pounds and they're just like hunched over. So their heads, gravity is just taking their heads and it's moving it forward. And there's actually a term for it called tech neck. So I'm seeing bulging and herniated discs in teenagers.
Oh, wow.
So to reshape that curve is something that we specialize in our clinic. And again, going back to treating the root cause of that, because a medical doctor is going to look at that and be like, there's nothing wrong with your kid. Just, take some Tylenol until it goes away. And we all know that that's really not the answer.
You bring up a wonderful question there. So when people go to doctors, or maybe there's somebody out there that's just walking around, what are signs in their body that might cue them in that something may not be right, and that maybe they should go see somebody like you, whether it's for chiropractic care or something else? What are some tips that our body is trying to tell us that we should come and see you?
Sure. Mobility is the first thing that goes. When you have troubles bending over or turning, like looking behind you in the car, mobility is the first thing.
Putting your shoes on.
Correct.
Is a big one, right?
Correct. So it's these little things that people tend to ignore that become huge issues. All right. I give the Mount St. Helens example. They ignored all the signs that this mountain was going to blow up, and eventually the whole side of the mountain blew up and killed hundreds of people because they ignored all these warning signs. Mobility is a huge warning sign. Stiffness and tightness, constantly correcting your posture, cracking your own spine, which is, it's a joke really that people, especially our young kids, are doing it all the time, and it ruins the integrity of the joint. So if you just take a look at yourself in the mirror, I guarantee you, if you look closely enough, you're going to see your shoulders like this, you're going to see your hips like this. That's a sign that, there's impending doom. And if you wait until the last minute, which a lot of people do when they present to chiropractors, it's going to be difficult to get you back to that baseline. We can still do it, but it's going to be more of a time commitment, for the patient.
It's shocking that we're seeing so many challenges with younger people, because it seems that the earlier you're having these problems, the more the more difficult your body's going to have over your life. As far as, is there any ways that are youth out there? I remember when I was younger, I used to play a lot of sports and work out a lot, and I had a great amount of muscle mass. Yeah. How does muscle mass play a role in your skeletal care? Or is there a relationship?
There is a direct like David was stating. It's all about losing fat. Now, when we're talking about adolescents here, they're not outside at all. They're not getting vitamin D absorption. They're not getting natural sunlight, and this can have a tremendous cascading effect on their overall metabolic health. All right. So if they just go outside and go play and go move and go take a walk their dog, whatever, go play some basketball, it's this sedentary lifestyle. They're all playing video games. They're all laying improperly in their bed. They're all sitting. Sitting really is the new smoking. And every teenager that I consult with their parents, they're not outside. They're not active. And that is the root cause of it. Get your kids outside, get them moving. And, there's still going to be postural issues. I still strongly believe, and most chiropractors will come on here and tell you, hey, get your kids to the chiropractor early. You're the most, hard on your body as a kid. And those little alignment and balance issues, they're going to become a problem later on. And if you can take care of them early, they're not going to become an issue.
And while you hear you speak to it, yes, it's we really need to focus on the youth, but also just hear you use the word sedentary. Okay, we have 3 attorneys here on the panel, and we have different practice areas with different demands. But for the attorneys on the panel, what are strategies that you may have incorporated, or maybe see areas of improvement to kind of get out of that sedentary, in front of the computer, answering calls, that particular way that our type of industry demands? Is there any strategies there?
I had one in place before I joined the tribe. Last year, it was every day I walk at least 10,000 steps. And then when I joined the tribe, I realized I can do better. And I said I would do 12,000 steps a day. and I failed to meet that goal. I'm doing 15,000 steps a day during the week, pretty much every day. And I've read that sitting at a desk all day or for long periods of time is very harmful for your health. I'm sure Dr. Friedman will confirm that. But I also read that walking substantial amounts during the day will completely reverse that harm. So that's what I do, is a lot of walking.
Walking on average 7,000 steps per day decreases all-cause mortality, meaning every form of death. The most recent study said 40%.
Oh my
That's
God.
incredible.
So just getting out and walking 7,000 steps, not 10,000, 7,000. If you do 10,000, I'm sure that number goes up. So get out and walk. But, it's about scheduling. The people that I see, and we're all under so much stress these days, and we have to just grind it out, it's about finding the time. If you can't find the time, then there's no solution. So finding the time, waking up a little bit earlier, just time management, that is something that we stress a lot in the office, because if you don't have the time, you can't do anything that we're telling you to do.
Sitting is the new smoking.
That's right.
Yeah.
And for anybody out there, just one strategy I have is similar. I go for walks, and on those walks, I listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
And hopefully you listen to the Gentleman's Tribe podcast. But that's all fantastic information. And walking, super important. And the funny thing is, over a year ago now, I was actually carrying even more weight. And by the way, for anybody out there listening, you're fat when you lose 60 pounds and you're still fat. But anyhow, I'm not
But
far.
you're making progress.
But
and
I'm
that's what
making
matters.
progress,
That's
and I'm
something
headed in the right
proud of,
direction.
Bryan.
That's what matters. All right. But when I was with my trainer, and I used to think, if I have to go and lose all this weight, I have to go and hit that cardio hard and do all this stuff. She said, walk.
Yep.
Walk.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the weight just kept coming off.
Yeah.
And I continue to do that, and I'm in a place where I'm putting on more muscle mass, which is wonderful. I'm feeling youthful again, and feeling great about that. But I'm on my journey of back to wellness. Now, other things that we discussed here. So we talked a little bit about the skeletal chiropractic care. We talked, a little bit about muscle mass, and I want to delve just a little bit deeper into muscle mass. Gabrielle Lyons, and I don't, I'm not, I don't get paid to say this or anything like that. She is a guru out there that talks a lot about muscle mass, and when they try to determine longevity, or what are the cues in longevity, there's a lot of disagreement out there. But one thing everybody agrees on is muscle mass. The more muscle mass you have, the more opportunity you have for longevity. So it's important. So let's talk a little bit about putting muscle mass on. What are some of the best strategies to put muscle mass on? What type of workouts, work for anybody here to chime in for the group, where you've noticed good, wonderful gains that you had? Or was there any protein you take? Anything to that effect? Anything about muscle mass gain? Anybody would take that
Yeah,
one?
I'll start with that.
Yeah.
David brought up EMS, no impact on your body, nothing but solid muscle movement. It also works fat off your system. And I'm pretty much at a point where I'm about 90% carnivore diet now. Mm-hmm. And the carnivore diet is absolutely put muscle on without even working out, because I have an issue right now where I'm going to have knee surgery. I haven't been able to go to a gym and really work out and do something right. I had shoulder surgery 2 years ago. So I've been, the mobility thing and using that machine that I have, the EMS suit, key and instrumental. I've gained about 10% body weight in muscle mass alone. I've lost 10% of my fat mass just in using that between those two items alone. Just
That's awesome.
changing over to mostly carnivore diet and using the EMS suit. And that's 43 pounds of weight loss overall.
Gotcha. Are you part of the Tribe Fit?
Oh, yeah, I am.
That's right. So, you want to
that.
talk about Tribe Fit?
Yeah, so we have a chat specifically for accountability of guys who take exercise seriously as part of our lives. And we post in there every day when we go to the gym, whatever we do. So I started my goal out this year in my accountability letter. And in January, we write a letter to ourselves dated December 31st of that year with the goals we're going to have achieved in the various aspects of our life. And mine, one of those goals was to get to the gym 4 times a week. My accountability partner, ironically, is Pedro. But I don't want to tell him, no, I didn't get there. I didn't make it happen. So he created a chat for us. And we started adding other guys from across the different Tribe chapters. And it's amazing because you'll see guys posting, 6 o'clock in the morning, they're at the gym. You see a picture of them. They're posting a selfie there of them doing something or looking at their watch, taking a photo of all the steps they've already got in or the calorie burn. It's remarkable. And so for me, I'll put in there like today, I'll post I did abs and legs. Tomorrow when I go, I'm going to post what I do, chest, triceps, whatever it is. When we post it in there, it's like a momentum booster for everyone else. And you'll see guys who get in who are going to the gym maybe once every other week, once a week, and before you know it, they're there constantly and they're constantly posting. And it's all that positive feedback because we're all giving that fire or that thumbs up or that heart because we're proud of each other. And it just helps build the momentum. And once you become a part of that, you don't want to stop. It's like you get home and you haven't been there and you tell your wife, hey, I got to get to the gym. These guys got to see it because if a week or so goes by and you haven't posted, you're probably going to get a phone call from someone. What's going on? Why haven't you been to the gym?
It's funny. I've gotten those calls, but legit, I haven't been posting. So now what I do is I actually have a trainer. He's more like my babysitter, but this guy has the most amazing faux hawk you've ever seen, and his name's Logan, and he's got like this like ridiculous. Yeah, this guy. If you were to imagine physical a trainer in your mind, this guy embodies it. And so what I've started to do now is said, hey, Logan, don't forget to take a video of me. So I make sure to get that video and throw it in the chat so I'm not getting these calls.
We saw you doing legs. You were putting up some weight.
I was putting up some weight, man. I'd say what I got some muscle mass here. I got a little stuff on the top of it that I'm getting rid of, but I'm on my way and I'm stoked. And having the support of the tribe is really, really getting me there. And now it's interesting talking about this tribe fit. It's not just about working out. Nutrition, obviously, go without saying, is huge in this. Does anybody have a story about maybe a shift in diet or nutrition has impacted them? Maybe Dr. Adam?
I'm going to play along with what Jay said. The one aspect of my health that I couldn't control from a holistic mode was my GI system. I was struggling with GI problems for like 20 years, and it was eroding my brain health. One day I went strict carnivore, and I did strict carnivore for 18 months, and 20 years of GI symptoms that I won't get into on this podcast, but you guys can figure out what all those symptoms were. It was disrupting my life. It was disrupting my life as a practitioner. I'd have to take breaks all the time. They disappeared in 3 days. Mm-hmm. I went through sugar withdrawals for sure, but that lasted like 3 or 4 days. And when I tell you that I've never been like a huge guy, I've always worked out, I've always kept in good shape. But when I was strict carnivore, I was ripped, and I felt awesome. I mean, from every aspect of it. I eventually, after a year and a half, I had like the first piece of sugar, and it was a mango, and it was like an existential experience. I swear, man. It was crazy. Like putting sugar for the first time in your mouth after 18 months and it being like this sweet mango, it was crazy. Yeah. So the carnivore diet is it's a drastic thing. It's an elimination thing. Some people use it as a lifestyle. I've transitioned more now into an animal-based lifestyle, which I recommend to all my patients. Get rid of the processed foods, get rid of the packaged foods, single ingredient whole foods, and your life will change. Because if you have chronic neck and back pain and you're eating like a horse, you're not going to get better because you're going to have constant inflammation riddled throughout your body, and that's a huge part of it. So single ingredient foods.
Yeah. And so hold on, one thing, Adam, in my backyard I have 2 giant mango trees, so you can have as many of those as you want.
They're delicious. I've had a few.
They are really good.
And to the men out there that are listening here, don't be afraid of red meat. There is a stigma out there about cholesterol and saturated fat. Again, maybe for another podcast, but don't be afraid of those things. All right, those things are something that I live on basically, and I've had a lot of blood work done, and my blood work has never been better. So don't be afraid of saturated fat and cholesterol. Be afraid of sugar. Be afraid of the processed foods. Something that has 37 different ingredients. That's what we need to be afraid of.
You know, it's interesting you touched upon is that you were talking about what worked for you, high protein diet, which may work for everybody. But I remember doing some reading, and different body types might be a little more agreeable to different types of diet depending on what that is.
Sure.
Do you want to speak to that at all?
I mean, everyone's microbiome is different. Everyone's is. You know, in my particular case, when I eliminated chicken and when I eliminated vegetables, like my symptoms went away. If you have any type of chronic autoimmune problem, or if you have just chronic gas or bloating or anything of that nature, in my opinion, humbly speaking, you know, vegetables is a potentially big problem for people, especially cruciferous vegetables, because they have these natural defense chemicals called oxalates, and these oxalates, for someone like me, can cause a lot of problems. Now listen, if you're thriving as a human being on a vegan diet or a pescatarian diet or whatever, keep going. Do what's best for your body. Listen to your body. But I'll tell you one thing, that there is nothing more nutrient dense than a piece of red meat. And, you know, the amino acid profile will prove that. And I'll stand by that just because it has helped me so much.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, sure.
Because I learned this recently. I was one of those guys who was afraid of red meat. In the movie 48 Hours, there was something about how men have undigested red meat in their bowels. And it stayed with me, so I assumed they were telling the truth. And it wasn't true at all. And I learned recently, like Dr. Adam was saying, how nutrient-rich red meat is. I read that is the best protein for muscle recovery. So I have been having a lot more meat lately, and I've been loving it. It's awesome. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even the red meat, it's how the animal was raised. Like we talk about pasture raised and things of this nature. If you want to maximize the intake and the vitamins and nutrients you're going to get from it, these are things you really have to consider.
Of course.
One of the other things that I've done is eliminate a lot of the fortified and enriched foods. Those for me were wreaking havoc on my system, and the biggest change was probably the seed oils.
Sure.
Just find those oils are like, I read somewhere that like you just got to get rid of every one of them. Like olive oils for room temperature only. Cook with avocado oil. Get rid of canola oil. I've eliminated it, not 100%. I still will sometimes go out and have something I shouldn't, but I don't in the house. In the house, we don't have those, so at least I'm cutting back significantly. It's a lot easier for me. It's one thing to say completely go away with. It's another to eliminate most of it. That's how I'm doing it. It's working. It's making a big change. What do you think? What can you tell us about seed oils, Dr. Adam?
Refined seed oils are, I mean,
Rancid.
they are rancid. They will cause inflammation in the body, and they've been pushed as this heart-healthy type of fat for several reasons that can be, you know, dated back to the 80s. Again, we won't go into that, but stay away from those types of fats. Cook with ghee, cook with grass-fed butter, cook with coconut oil, like Ian said, extra virgin olive oil from single source. Don't, you know, high heat cook with that. Don't high heat cook with avocado oil either. They can become fractionated. So you want to avoid those things. Beef tallow, you know, those are the types of fats that we should be using. Again, getting rid of the saturated fat myth, because it's just, you know, we thrive off of cholesterol. Our brain is 90% cholesterol, somewhere around there, 70 to 90%. And, you know, it's been proven that people with dementia and Alzheimer's, they have low levels of cholesterol. The people that have higher levels of cholesterol, they're not going through cognitive decline. And, you know, there's research that backs this up. And, you know, I just want people to understand that these saturated fats are good for us, and especially us men, because we need these essential amino acids. And like Ian said, the way that the animal was raised, 100% grass-fed is ideal. You can go get it at Aldi for $5.69 a pound. You know, you can get them at Costco now. So these bigger type of retailers, it's becoming more available, and it's not as expensive as you think.
Right.
So, Dr. Adam, you talked a little bit about inflammation and how eating these wrong things, the seed oils and the things that your body isn't handling right, causes inflammation. What can you tell us about how inflammation creates the disease processes and things like that? Can you educate us a little?
Inflammation is the foundation of every chronic disease. In my setting, we're talking about mainly osteoarthritis of the spine, maybe. So inflammation, again, it's the root cause of every single metabolic disease that we see, all right? And that includes cardiovascular disease. I would argue that without the presence of inflammation, LDL cholesterol really doesn't matter. As a carnivore and as a ketogenic, practitioner, my cholesterol is high. However, my HDL, the good cholesterol, is extremely high, and my triglycerides are very low. So I'm what's called a lean mass hyperresponder, all right? And metabolically, that's what you want. You want your triglycerides low. That means I am constantly burning fat as my primary energy source. And in my particular case, when I'm burning ketones or fat, I feel infinitely better. The moment that I even have a piece of fruit, I know that I'm burning sugars, and my body responds differently to that. I personally don't like it. I personally like to be ketogenic for as long as I can, but carbs are essential, the right types of carbs.
Right.
Fruits, raw honey, dates, if you're going to go with any type of rice, it should be organic, basmati type of rice, white rice, not brown rice. Brown rice is a gimmick. It's heavy metals,
terrible.
crazy, and it's going to cause all sorts of problems.
So a moment ago you mentioned something, and it's almost like the dirty word, sugar. Tell us, that's something we haven't had a conversation yet about today. Tell us about sugar. So what are the good ones, what are the bad ones, and what do the bad ones do to us?
There is a lot of debate on this particular topic. Again, I'm saying this anecdotally, and I've been a clinician in wellness centers for 20 years. So I've seen more than just, my back and my neck hurt, stuff like that. So sugars, processed sugars, it's the worst thing that you can consume. Cancer feeds off of sugar. Any inflammatory process, which cancer is, will feed off that sugar. If you eliminate sugar, say, God forbid I had cancer, I would go back to carnivore. I would go strict carnivore, and I would eliminate sugar altogether. The good types of sugars, honey, raw, unfiltered, okay? Maple syrup, all right, in a glass jar, okay? Dates.
Dates are amazing.
Dates. Now, when you look at dates, you're going to be like, oh my God, look at all the sugar in these dates.
Great sugar, though.
But it does not spike your sugars. It won't. If you had a glucose monitor, it's not going to spike it, so insulin starts going. Then you become insulin resistant. And once you become insulin resistant, then every metabolic function starts to fail. So those types of sugars, and coconut water. Pure, these are electrolytes. And again, I have to hit on salt real quick too. Yep. Sea salt. When we talk about electrolytes, salt was also demonized, just like saturated fat and cholesterol. Sea salt has all the essential minerals that you need to balance your electrolytes. And being down here in South Florida, you can't just guzzle water in the summertime because you will dehydrate yourself. Intracellularly, you will not hold on to that water. You need the coconut waters. You need good salt, sea salt, unrefined sea salt. You can get that at Costco. You can get Maldon salt. You can get Redmond salt. All these salts. Do it in the morning. 1 teaspoon in water. There you go. There's your electrolytes. Yep. You don't have to get fancy with pre-workouts.
I put
opinion.
salt in every bottle of water that I drink. I have my own Kangen machine. I put a little pinch of salt in every single bottle. It softens the water, so when you're drinking, it doesn't feel harsh, and it gives me an energy boost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The energy I get from it is amazing.
And what I'm hearing is that there's been an evolution of thought on so many areas, and that's what science is. Science is the scientific process. We have a hypothesis that has to be tested and tested again, and it sounds like we're having breakthroughs and shifting the way that we think to get to other conclusions. As we are running out low on time. All right, so. The panel's been awesome today. I feel like we could have done like 10 shows with the content. We didn't even get to, half the stuff I was hoping to get to, which we're going to have all you guys back at one point or another, because there's so much value here in this brotherhood. But I think to before we conclude the show here today, Let's kind of start with Dr. Adam, kind of work our way around. What's one thought or one idea or something you want to say that maybe you didn't have a chance to say before we wrap today? Dr. Adam.
Regulate your nervous system. Find a good chiropractor. Yes, all the gizmos and gadgets are great these days, shockwave, decompression. But at the heart of it, chiropractic means with the hands. I was an athlete all my life. Any club, any racket that you gave me, I could play that sport. That's why I'm a very good tactical chiropractor. Find yourself a good chiropractor. Get adjusted. Go frequently at first, then maintain what you do. We're constantly being bombarded with stress. Every person on this panel, you can't avoid stress. It's impossible. All you can do is manage it. Chiropractic care is a small piece of the healthcare puzzle, but in my opinion, it's a big, small piece. Find a chiropractor, get adjusted. Don't be scared to get adjusted. Don't be scared to get your neck adjusted. Go to a chiropractor who's going to take x-rays, do a full consult, and understand, how best to treat you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. There's two things that I'm going to bring up, and it's just real quick. They actually, coincide with each other. And Dr. Adam brought it up. His blood work has been perfect. It's been great. So get your blood work done, understand your blood work, and have somebody that can go through it with you and make you understand it. Second thing is get a methylation test, because it's a one-time thing. It'll help you understand how your body processes everything that you're intaking and what you can do supplement-wise to offset what the world does to you, and have you become healthier by understanding that.
Well, that's to me. I would want to close with something that a trainer said to me a few months ago that really stuck with me. And it's common sense. He said, consistency. Whatever you decide you're going to do, don't let yourself off on that. So I work out in the gym every Saturday, and I look a few days ahead every week. And if I see, I'm going to be in New York, I'm not going to be able to work out, or I'm going to be in Colombia, whatever, I always make sure I move the workout up. Make sure I do it before I leave town. And because consistency is key. You don't get the results without it.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Consistency is key. Be intentional. Carve out the time. If you want to take care of your health, do it. Don't talk about it. Take action. Be intentional.
I would say, other than saying, where was Dr. Adam 30 years ago when I was telling my mom I didn't want to eat my vegetables? But that aside, I'll say this. Coming from somebody that was significantly out of shape a year ago, if you're a man sitting there and feeling just downtrodden and, you feel like you have a long way to go, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So if you feel like you're in that place, take these micro steps, and one day you're going to get to a place where you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to be very proud of how far you came. For the tribe, I love you guys.
Love you.
This
Love
is
you,
a
Brad.
special
Thanks for being
place
here.
to our audience out there. We know that you found great value in the gentlemen of the tribe that came here today. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
That concludes today's episode of the Gentleman's Tribe Show. If you found value in this conversation, we invite you to share it with someone in your circle who's walking this path of growth and leadership. Until next time, stand tall, speak truth, and continue becoming the man you were called to be. We'll see you next week.